What is good, defenders, and welcome to episode 388. We know we're one behind. We apologize for the Colorado Rapids recap episode. A lot of lines got crossed on that one, but we are right back here and ready to go for MLS Cup playoffs. Ruben, hello. Everybody else in the chat, hello. And how are you? Good evening. A little Defenders After Dark. It's almost 9:30. On a beautiful Thursday evening here in Los Angeles. And yes, this is Defenders of the Bank, episode 388, as LAFC opens the MLS Cup playoffs with an ugly win versus Austin. But you know what? In this best of three first round, it doesn't matter how you win. It just matters that you win. And I got a little side eye for our boy, Ilie Sanchez. Ilie, we thought we knew you, brother. What happened there? Ilie came and he chose violence when he walked into BMO Stadium. My goodness. And then to say, by the way, according to our good friend Scott, to say that he thought Sun might have come at him a couple of times. Ilie, you got some splaining to do. I don't know what happened there, my friend, but I don't like that one. We love you, Ilie, but Híjole madre, that was a little taste of Sunny there. You wanted a piece. I don't know if I liked it. Look, for the seventh time in 8 seasons, LAFC embarks upon the MLS Cup playoffs, seated third in the West, finishing, of course, behind San Diego FC. What a first year they had. And the Vancouver Whitecaps. Most of the matches have gone chalk, so it was up to LAFC to continue to hold serve. It's not like we're going to be hosting any more games at BMO unless we can't take care of business in Austin on Sunday. Everybody else seems to be winning as well. So it's been an interesting playoff so far. Let's not forget LAFC won it all back in 2022, defeating this year's Supporters Shield winner, Philadelphia Union. And then we made the final for the second year in a row in 2023, falling to Columbus in Columbus. Last season, LAFC, of course, finishing with the number 1 seed in the Western Conference heading into the playoffs, but we all know how that ended. We did defeat Vancouver 2-1 in the best of 3 first-round series last year. We won both home matches. So, yes, last year, Vancouver, without Thomas Muller, forced a home match again for LAFC. We also then lost to Seattle 2-1 in a heartbreaker at home in the conference semifinals. A match that featured a Ryan Hollingshead goal and an own goal in that one. Maxime Chanot tied it up for Seattle. Unfortunately, he was wearing a black and gold shirt, and it was that awful 109th minute goal by Jordan Morris in added extra time that knocked us out of the playoffs. LAFC last year in that playoff match, LAFC started in a modified 5-2-3. Mendo, what's happening, buddy? We appreciate you and all of the other millions and millions. And by the way, let me just stop here real quick. Philly is calling a game in Riverside. Philly absolutely wants to be here and be on this episode. He will be ready to go for the next one, but you guys all know he's calling a bunch of matches in a bunch of days, and he's doing some good work out there in Riverside. Philly absolutely wants to be on this episode and hates to miss. Let's go back to last year. Let's go back to last year when LAFC played in that modified 5-2-3 against Seattle. How about starting Maxime Chanot, Jesus Murillo, and Aaron Long on the back line in that one? Obviously, all 3 of those players not starting for us 1 year later. How about Edward Atuesta and Lewis O'Brien starting in the midfield? Olivier Giroud starting and playing the first 70 minutes up top before coming off for Kike Oliveira. And the other 2 up top were Denis Bouanga and Matty Bogusz. Ilie Sanchez would come off the bench. Kai Kamara would come off the bench. How about that? Of the players that took the pitch 1 year ago against Seattle in that loss, only 4 starters and 2 subs remain, not counting Aaron Long, who won't be available, obviously, this season. The turnover from year to year is real, especially with an aspirational club like LAFC. It is unbelievable to see the turnover, though. Imagine just 6 players out of the 18 that we had available in that match last year still playing or could play for LAFC this year. Look, it was, for me, Ryan Porteous was my player to watch, and I thought Porteous had a very good game, although going down in the box one time, not quite sure why he did. I thought several others on our back line, namely Nkosi Tafari, did not have a good game. Midfield got beat a little bit. I agree, Henry. Midfield didn't look great, but I thought Sonny was fantastic. I thought Denis did everything that he needed to do to keep the pressure on, but I think our 2 big stars need to put their chances away for sure. So that's going to be it's going to be interesting to see if LAFC can get by in a second straight match without the big boys putting one away. Now, most every single episode, you guys know a couple of things that we like to kick off each and every episode with, and that is this day in LAFC history and, of course, news and notes. So let's get into a very quick this day in LAFC history before we do get into some big news and notes regarding a couple of our favorite players in black and gold. If you were at the game, you were there. It was October 29th, 2025. And if we go all the way back to October 29th, 2019, LAFC making the Western Conference Final for the very first time and unfortunately losing at the Bank of California Stadium at the time, unfortunately losing that match to Seattle 3-1 while taking the lead. Edward Atuesta scoring the first goal in that match to put LAFC up 17 minutes in. Just 5 minutes later, Raul Ruidiaz scores. He scored again in the 64th minute. We got beat up pretty good by Seattle in that one, and LAFC needed to learn how to win some big games, and it took us a while, that's for sure. But LAFC falling to Seattle 3-1 at the Bank on October 29th, 2019. Of course, that Seattle Sounders club would go on to win MLS Cup. So, you know, you don't feel too bad when you lose to the MLS Cup, eventual MLS Cup winners, but you never want to lose. But if you are listening to this one live, if several of you that are in the chat, and of course, everybody else who's following us on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, however it is that you consume Defenders of the Bank content, we appreciate it. It is October 30th. And October 30th, 2014 was the day that MLS would award another franchise to Los Angeles. So really, the infant seeds were planted, Giggity, on this date in 2014. It's hard to believe that was 11 years ago. Well, let's talk some news and notes, and the 2 big ones involving Nathan Ordaz and Ryan Hollingshead, both inking new deals, extensions of their current deals with LAFC. Let's talk first about Ryan Hollingshead. Ryan Hollingshead extended through 2027. No options after 2027, so it'll either have to be a new deal or a new team for Ryan Hollingshead, the former UCLA kid, the 34-year-old with 173 appearances across all competitions for LAFC. Those 173 appearances will be 3rd all time in a black and gold shirt. He looks to cross the 200 appearance mark with his 2nd club. He played in 222 matches for FC Dallas, 20 goals and 13 primary assists in his LAFC career. And oh, by the way, if you ask Major League Soccer, they've now since changed some things. I believe they're calling Brek Shea the all-time leading scoring defender in MLS history. It's going to be interesting to see Brek Shea as a defender. He's trying. Ryan Hollingshead obviously passing Graham Zusi with some things, but now it's Brek Shea that Ryan Hollingshead is having to look up at, who is considered the highest scoring defender of all time according to MLS. By the way, our good friends over at Yerba Madre, if you would like to ever sponsor a podcast, we do drink your stuff, so it'd be really great. Ryan Hollingshead extended through 2027. Let's talk about Nathan Ordaz. Nathan Ordaz extended through 2029 with an option for 2030. He is the first homegrown LAFC player to sign a second contract with LAFC. He is now 21 years old. He made his first team debut all the way back in 2022 in a preseason friendly. And yes, that was as a 17-year-old Nathan Ordaz. 7 goals and 7 assists. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, you're absolutely right. 1 second. Fluffhead. This is for Fluffhead. That's good stuff, Yerba Madre. This is their new Peach one. Peach Revival. Let me tell you, it's working at about 9:35 at night here in LA. That's for sure. Nathan Ordaz, first team debut as a 17-year-old in 2022 in a preseason friendly, would go on to make his first team MLS debut the next year in 2023. 7 goals and 7 primary assists in a breakout 2025. And a player who gets it. I asked him about this in the press conference. The incredible week that he had. Signing the contract, getting engaged, and then having the game winner for LAFC last night. I asked him about it, and he said, look, this is the hardest club to crack the front line of. He said, and I quote, they can buy any player that they want, meaning LAFC. He's watched Gareth Bale. He's watched Olivier Giroud. He's watched Cengiz Under. And he's watched Son Heung-min walk through that door knowing full well they are going to get minute after minute after minute over a Nathan Ordaz. And yet it's Nathan Ordaz who re-signs with LAFC because, in his words, as long as you continue to work hard with hard work and determination, you can make the roster. I can't think of a better example for LAFC, for the youth, for the academy. Put him on a pedestal and tell all these kids, this is how you do it. At the toughest position to find minutes for on LAFC, especially now that we've gone to just 2 attackers up top. With Sonny and Denis, I'm sorry, Nate knows. Nate knows 100% that he is not going to get any starts over Denis or Sonny. And yet he re-ups. So I'm really proud of this kid, really happy for Nathan Ordaz. Signed through 2029 with an option for 2030. LAFC, by the way, also announcing a new strategic partnership with Liquid IV, which included a renaming of their performance center at Cal State LA to the Liquid IV Performance Center. The collaboration, according to LAFC, marking not only a naming rights initiative, but a deeper integration of hydration science into LAFC's training and player care regimen. That's kind of cool. Throughout the course of the partnership, Liquid IV and LAFC will explore activations, content, and fan engagement efforts aimed at bringing the science of functional hydration to supporters across LA and beyond. So cool. We're partnering with Liquid IV now. Hopefully that means Body Armor's still in the mix for a lot of things. I don't know. But what seemed to get social media most excited, and this is for my boy Tony out there amongst others, however, was LAFC's newest sponsorship or partnership, whatever you want to call it, just in time for the playoffs. Global entertainment lifestyle platform company, and I really hope I'm pronouncing it right, Hybe. It's Hybe in all caps. Hybe is teaming up with LAFC to sponsor the first Audi 2025 MLS Cup playoff home game. That was the last one that we just played, marking the first ever collaboration between Hybe and Major League Soccer. And as part of the sponsorship, Hybe and LAFC hosted a special fan activation during the playoff match that brought the essence of K-pop to BMO Stadium. This one-of-a-kind celebration featured Korean-inspired cuisine from Love Hour and Kogi, a light show set to Hybe artist songs, filling the stadium with, and I quote, the infectious spirit of K-pop. The event gave LAFC supporters a chance to experience the immersive fan engagement that defines Hybe's brand and celebrates K-culture's impact on Los Angeles, inviting the entire city to share in an evening that blended culture, music, and community. I wanted some K-pop Demon Hunters too, Henry. I am with you. Really appreciate, Ruben, the questions, the comment on our questions in the chat. that was fun for sure. Being there and being able to ask some good questions last night. That's the end of news and notes. El Trafico Radio, appreciate you, of course, for always chiming in, and it's always fun to go back and forth with you guys. El Trafico Radio, appreciate you. So LAFC hosts Austin in game one of what we hope will be just two in this best of three first round matchup. Of course, LAFC coming in third in the West, reaching 60 points for the third time in 4 seasons. And LAFC with the second most goals, second best differential, and third fewest goals allowed in the West. 17, 8, and 9 in their 34 matches. So getting the win in exactly half of those matches and scoring 65 goals with that differential of plus 25. Austin comes in 13, 13, and 8. 47 points on the season, a -8 goal differential. And the big number to look at is their 37 goals is the fewest in the West. They came in averaging just over 1 goal per match. And every time they've played a LAFC, they've scored 1 goal per match. They beat us twice in the regular season. 1-0 at BMO on March 15th behind a Guillaume Biro goal. And then 1-0 in Austin on October 12th behind Owen Wolf's late goal. So a frustrating season for LAFC against Austin. Reminds me a little bit of 2022. 7-4-2 overall in our 13 matches against Austin, and 4-2-1 at BMO Stadium. And let's not forget, LAFC lost both matches in 2022 and then hosted them in the 2022 MLS Cup playoffs. This is pre-Messi, so it was only a single match. And we beat them 3-0. The goal scorers in that one, how about Chicho Arango, Mahala Opoku? And that one also featured an own goal from Austin. That one from Maximiliano Urruti. It was a 3-0 win back in 2022. And only Denis, Ryan Hollingshead, and Steve Cherundolo are still on LAFC from that match in 2022. Of course, Ilie played in that match in 2022, but now he's wearing the wrong colors. Head coach Nico Estevez in his first season, 17 wins in 39 matches across all competitions for Austin this year. And of course, Nico used to be the head man at Valencia B, used to be the head man at FC Dallas for 98 matches, and was also a U.S. men's national team assistant several seasons ago. They came out in a 3-4-3, and look, it's simple. If anyone's going to get a statue in Austin, it's going to be Brad Stuver, who set the MLS record for most saves in a 5-year span. He had an excellent season this year in 2025, was obviously named to the MLS All-Star game that was hosted in Austin. And it's been a good bounce back year for Brad Stuver. So good on Brad. And Brad kept Austin in this one every step of the way. On the back line of their 3-4-3, Guilherme Biro, Brendan Hines-Ike, who evidently one of our own. We appreciate that. And Alexander Svatok. In the midfield, John Gallagher, Danny Pereira, Mikel Dessler, and Ilie Sanchez. And I want to point out the one stat I talked about back when we played them on October 12th. Austin FC averages 1.72 points per match in matches that he plays. By the way, that would put them right around 4th place in the West. In matches that he plays, they average almost a quarter point more than in the matches that he doesn't play, which means over the course of a season, you're looking at 8 or 9 more points just because you have Ilie Sanchez on the pitch. I appreciate you guys about the scarf wall. I have a really cool surprise coming up, hopefully, maybe by our next show. I have a really cool surprise for a new background. It's going to be pretty cool. So I got something cooking, and it's going to be great. The front line of Owen Wolff, who obviously scored against us in the last match, number 4 in MLS's 22 best players under 22, 7 goals and 11 primary assists in 2025 in all competitions. Rounding out the front line with 9 goals in 2025, Mirto Uzuni, who missed the last match with international duty, and Usman Bukhari with 5 goals and 6 assists on the season. For LAFC, coming out in a 5-3-2, of course, Ugo between the pipes and the now familiar, Fluffhead, I love it, Scarf Hub, Ryan Hollingshead and Kosi Tafari, Eddie Segura, Ryan Porteous, and Sergi Palencia on the back line, Matthew Chonier, Mark Delgado, and Timothy Tillman, and of course, Sonny and Denis up top. LAFC would bring on just 3 subs, and being honest, they really only brought on 1 sub of any consequence, as both Jeremy Abobasi and Jailson came on late, but it was Nathan Ordaz coming on in the 74th minute. And by the way, when we get to the 80th minute, I've got to tell everybody how right Philly was, which that's going to be hard for me to do. But Philly was very, very right on a couple of different occasions, not just the scoreline that he picked, but something else that he was talking about too. And I got to give him props. When he's right, he's right. So I'll tell you that he was right in just a little bit. I got a question, though. We do have a friend who is in the press box with us. She is absolutely fantastic. And we were having a conversation. Kara, I believe, is her name. And she said to me something that was pretty interesting. I want to give her full credit on this one here. She said, hey, do you think Ilie was maybe channeling his former countryman, but kind of on the opposite side, Pau Gasol, in Kobe versus Pau in the Olympics, when Kobe said, first time through, give me the ball, I'm going to run right through Pau Gasol, just to kind of set the tone. Ilie trying to set the tone a little bit against Sonny. There were several different times where Ilie, let's be real, it was kind of cheap. It's unlike a way I've ever seen Ilie Sanchez play. He was playing with a chip on his shoulder, and I think he was maybe trying to set the tone for the rest of Austin's boys. More yerba madre. For the rest of Austin's boys, but man, Ilie, you gotta tone it down a little bit there, bud. I mean, I thought there should have been a yellow card much, much earlier than the one that he received. I think it was like in the 54th minute or so. Ilie Sanchez went to work on Sonny on that one. And I just saying, Ilie, my man, we'll see. We'll see what happens next match. I was a little surprised. And we got a buddy who recently started following us. If you're not following, I believe his Instagram page is called the LAFC Way. It's got the Shamrock in it. He's new to MLS and to LAFC. But it's a lot of fun to follow some of his commentary. And he said something that I kind of agree with. I'm a little surprised that nobody from LAFC just kind of gave Ilie a little bit of the how's your father at least once in the match. Just kind of, telling him like, look, all right, you can beat up on a lot of guys, but Sonny is one of the golden calves that we have here on LAFC. In the chat, we got here, Ilie isn't Ilie like that though. He's rough. There's a difference though. He'll get under your skin. He'll ride you pretty hard all the way down the pitch from box to box, giggity. But he's not normally that blatantly obvious about some of the pot shots that he was taking. He needed an Eddie Segura love tap. We can't afford, and I got a comment about Sergi Palencia's yellow card at the end of the match. Let's be very, very real. We can't afford yellow cards, you guys. Yellow cards work very differently in the playoffs. And with this abbreviated format after this first round series, if you get 2 yellow cards in the playoffs, two, that's like a week of games for a player like Jesus Murillo. 2 yellow cards, you are suspended for the next match. And if you're suspended for the next match after we're done with Austin, it's a one-off. You are not available for the only time that we could see San Diego or Vancouver or Cincinnati, Philadelphia, whoever it might be. Well, not the MLS Cup final, but the 2 other Western Conference games. you're suspended after 2 yellow cards. So I got a lot of thoughts on Sergi Palencia's 93rd minute yellow card. I was real pissed at that when that happened. But we'll talk about that when we get there. In the 21st minute, we're going to just kick things right off with the lead story, which would be Ryan Hollingshead putting the ball in a dangerous spot, which led to the own goal. Brendan Hines-Ike of Austin FC getting credit for it. But I mentioned it to Ryan Hollingshead. I said, hey, congrats on the win and the assist. And he kind of gave me one of those like, yep, there you go. Got the assist. I don't know if he was trying to score it. I don't know if he was trying to have it deflect in. What I do know is that Ryan Hollingshead said he was trying to put the ball in a dangerous place, and he absolutely did. And this is what happened. We mentioned it. When we knocked them out of the playoffs in 2022, Austin scored an own goal for LAFC. Maximiliano Urruti doing that. So now you have Brendan Hines-Ike helping out LAFC once again. It's got to be really frustrating for Austin, who loves to stay in that low block. And as Ryan Hollingshead said, by the way, they like to stay in that low block, but there's more space in the box than you might think you have. And so Ryan just trying to put it in a dangerous spot, and eventually it goes in. But here's the interesting thing, and I asked Steve Cherundolo about this in the press conference. What do you do when a team like Austin, who sits and sits and sits in that low block, after you score against them, what most clubs do is then to spring out of that low block, push everybody forward, and then LAFC has opportunities in transition time after time after time. But what I asked Steve Cherundolo is, what do you do, or what should you do when a team doesn't spring out of that low block, when they stay low, when they stay compact? What we saw from Austin is they didn't change a damn thing. They were content to stay in a low block and to keep the ball. And what Steve Cherundolo said was very interesting. He said, I think we needed to push even harder after scoring that first goal, to push even harder. That would have been a big thing. That would have helped LAFC. You keep the pressure on. Now you go up 2 goals or maybe even 3 goals. And now they have to come out of that low block. And I'll take us in transition over Austin FC any day. But it was really interesting to hear Steve Cherundolo say that we should have pressed even harder because they didn't come out of their low block. I asked him, I said, do you have to switch tactics, or do you just keep hammering that same nail even harder? And he said the latter. So it was very, very interesting. Juan, thank you so much. I'm doing what I can here. I did get to record an episode of Soccer in 60. If you guys aren't following Soccer in 60, I've been hosting that now for a little while. I got to record one live from BMO Stadium last night, so that was really fun. Check out Soccer in 60 over on YouTube. We had our good buddy Scott French on, who is an incredible journalist for SoccerAmerica.com, and just a really good dude, too. He and Philly talk music like hours and hours and hours at a time. But it was interesting to hear that that's what Steve Cherundolo wanted more from his boys. In the 33rd minute, we saw Ilie and Sonny go at it again. I mean, my goodness. And look, what I love about Sonny is Ilie, when he was talking to Sonny, Ilie had his hand over his mouth like this, so you couldn't see a single thing that Ilie was saying. Sonny just kept looking at him and talking the entire time, not worried about if anybody could read his lips or understand his words. And that's what I love about Sonny. Sonny will be the first to celebrate, but now Sonny will apparently also be the first to talk right back at you. Ilie Sanchez and Sonny going at it a little bit. 2 more big missed opportunities for LAFC in the 36th minute. An incredible save on Sonny. And in the 43rd minute, Stuver saves one on Denis Bouanga. LAFC goes into the half up 1-0. And I almost felt, as I watched Austin go back into the locker room at halftime, I almost felt like Austin felt like they had absorbed LAFC's best blow. They said, okay, we weathered that storm, even though they outpossessed us. We weathered that storm for 45 minutes. They only got one against us, and we had to help them to get it. I really thought Austin came out of the half with much more confidence than a team normally does down 1-0. And it showed immediately. But LAFC, we mentioned Austin helping LAFC. In the second half, it was LAFC helping Austin 2 key times. And one should, Ben, I love you so much. One should have resulted in a goal in the 56th minute. LAFC pinballing that ball around their own box rather than one hard clean to clear that ball, clear the lines, and live to fight another day. In the 56th minute, my note was very simple. It said pinball, period. LAFC gets lucky. And then I wrote in the 63rd minute, pinball, period. LAFC not so lucky. John Gallagher putting the ball away in the box, an easy goal for John Gallagher because Nkosi Tafara, what are we doing? What are we doing? You're 6'4", heading the ball straight down to the feet of an Austin offensive player. What are we doing? You're the guy that can see over everything. You're the guy that should be rising to the top, heading that ball away, getting that ball out of here. And yet you head it down right to the feet of your opponent in your box. I'm not sure any time you run that drill in training that you've been taught to do what you did on that one. It was a really bad clear. I don't know where he was looking to get the ball out of. Maybe he thought he would head it down a little bit harder. It would take a higher bounce. I don't know. It just reminded me of the scene in Major League when the home run is going over and the guy, too high? Is it too high? Like, I don't know. Were you trying to head it down even harder? Was it too soft? I don't know. It just, Nkosi, come on, man. Do better. So in the 63rd minute, we are level. It's 1-1. And you can kind of sense a little bit of frustration. You can kind of sense a little bit of tension, some tightness at BMO Stadium. I'll tell you, in the press box, it got quiet real quick. It got nervous time in there for all the people that work for LAFC. In the 69th giggity minute, Ryan Hollingshead with a header. And oh my goodness, what a save by Brad Stuver. That was a beautiful header by Ryan Hollingshead. And yes, by the way, Fluffhead, sub in Kenny Nielsen. Let him shoulder check somebody there. Ilie comes across the middle, set the tone. Absolutely. I agree. Kenny Nielsen, he'll do the dirty work for us. Why not? But Ryan Hollingshead with a header. And you got to go back and look at this save by Brad Stuver in the 69th minute. He's absolutely incredible. Stuver had a really, really good game in a 2-1 loss. So that tells you how good the keeper must have been. In the 77th minute, Denis with the ball in the box. And this was when I started to get nervous. When Denis could not put the ball on frame there in the 77th minute. Oh, by the way, sorry, I buried the lead. In the 74th minute, Nathan Ordaz comes into the match. In the 74th minute, Nathan Ordaz comes into the match. 77th minute, Denis over the bar with his shot and really not close from an area where he needed to be a little bit closer. But that's okay, folks, because we have the oh crap, I just scored an offside goal for my team by Nathan Ordaz, and I love the kid. Rather than being calm and cool and collected and not worrying about it, like, yeah, I tapped it in. We're all good. I was onside the whole time. Nathan Ordaz pooped himself in front of 22,000 people and 11 players in black and gold. And yes, we absolutely asked him about it there, about his reaction to the goal. I mean, Yahtzee, Nate, buddy, poker face. Just keep a little bit of it inside. But he was able to laugh it off. But he said, to Nate's credit, man, he stepped up to the mic and he said, I was really worried that the entire team would be pissed at me for touching a ball that I didn't need to touch. He said, I wasn't 100% sure it was going in. And he said, look, it's late. I'm trying to get a game winner. I didn't know if it was going in. So, yeah, I tapped it in. Now, let's back up. Let's say that they rule Nathan Ordaz offside, okay? Which, again, he wasn't called offside. Let's say they rule him offside. Go back and watch it again in slow motion. When Denis Bouanga takes that shot off the pass from Sonny, Denis' shot deflects off of an arm that is behind a sliding defender, not in a natural position. So I have to wonder, even if that ball is called offside or that shot is called offside, even if that ball doesn't go in the back of the net, let's say Denis' shot wasn't on target, it hits frame and bounces off. Would there have been a PK for a handball in the box as this defender is sliding by? I thought there would have been. And, oh, by the way, and this could be me being naive, but isn't it not offside if it deflects off of a defensive player first? I don't know. I could be wrong. But either way, apparently, the call that was made on the pitch was that Nathan Ordaz was onside the entire time. So we don't have to worry about it. He was onside the entire time. Everything was great. But, man, couldn't we all just kind of empathize with Nathan Ordaz's reaction? Like, oh, crap, I shouldn't have touched it. And I love it. He looks right at Denis Bouanga and then at the lines, the line judge there, the AR. He looks, line judge, it's not the NFL, dummy. Come on, JR. He looks over at the AR and is hoping, just hoping that arm stays down. And they asked him, I think, oh God, who was it? I think it was Scott, actually, Scott French, who might have asked him, man, while that ref was checking between the time they checked and the time they blew it, what were you thinking? He's like, I just thought everybody would be pissed at me. I had no idea. But I love it. He didn't even try to say like, no, I knew I was onside the whole time. We were fine because we know you didn't, Nate. You did the Kevin McAllister, the oh no. Oh my goodness. It was pretty great. We all were Nathan Ordaz for a little bit. And by the way, what a week for Nathan Ordaz. Signing the new contract, getting engaged. The kid is 21 years old. 21. Signs a new contract. Yes. Jello Boy. AR. Yes. I know. Or Jello Boy. What am I saying? Ruben. I not line judge. But yeah. I don't know. It's been quite the week for Nate. The new contract, the engagement, the game-winning goal. Congrats to him. I also took a note that in the 89th minute, after playing 89 minutes, it's Sonny tracking back into the box to make a defensive header and to clear the ball out, not for a corner kick, but for a deep throw-in. Sonny, 89 minutes into this match, 89 minutes, is the one tracking back, getting into the box, and defending as if this were a final. Absolutely. Absolutely incredible. He is world-class. It is so much fun to have Sonny on the team. In the first minute of stoppage time, maybe it was a little bit of stalling, but I also think it was done to protect Sonny. Jailson and Jeremy Abobasi come in for Sonny and Mark Delgado. So no more fouls on Sonny from anybody else, especially a late one. And then the part that I'm worried about the most after this match, and sure, some of you might be nitpicking, but I don't think this is nitpicking. I think this is a big deal because of how important this player has been to us and because of his, we'll say, tendency to pick up a yellow card from time to time. Sergi Palencia, in the 3rd minute of a dwindling amount of stoppage time, Sergi Palencia picks up a yellow card. And, where'd that comment go? I thought I just posted it. There we go. According to Ruben, here's what Ruben says. Sergi was just getting frustrated, and he only got the yellow because the ref was annoyed. Sure, Ruben, I hear you. But the fact that he got the yellow, I know, Ruben, it's weird seeing Jello Boy instead of Ruben Rios. By the way, I miss Mike Trout coming in and checking on us in the chat. It was always nice to have Mike Trout come in. Sergi can't pick up that yellow that late in the match. You have to know that once we get into stoppage time, just shut your mouth and live to fight another day. Yes, the referee was dog water in this one. And I thought he was bad for both sides, by the way, especially LAFC. But I thought the referee was bad for both sides. But Sergi, you got to figure out a way, my friend. This is that last little step that we need from Sergi Palencia. The last little step being, how does he avoid these type of yellow cards? Because in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, when all you're doing is trying to see out the match, you cannot pick up a yellow, especially in the playoffs, where 2 yellows, just 2, mean that you are suspended for a match. And I can tell you this right now, as much as we all love Ryan Hollingshead and Artem Smolyakov, I would much rather have it be Ryan Hollingshead and Sergi Palencia to start these MLS Cup playoff matches. I think Artem Smolyakov is going to be special. He is an excellent wing defender. But if you're telling me back to the wall, who are the 2 defenders I want there on the wings? Even though Ryan maybe has lost about a half a step and he's not quite as aggressive as he once was, what he means to us offensively, I think outweighs that still. And Sergi Palencia is as good of a defender as we have had for the last 2 seasons. Fluffhead, to answer your question, do you get 2 more after the suspension? Yes. After you get your 2 and you're suspended, it resets and you would need another 2. And unfortunately, I think if you do the math correctly, unless we get a 3rd game, yeah, I don't think there's a way for you to pick up another 2 without that being 2 in the same match, which would be a red card. And if you get 2 yellows in the conference final, you get a red card, you are suspended for MLS Cup. So no red cards in that conference final. My final thoughts on the match are pretty simple. It was ugly. We can't afford to play that way against a San Diego FC or a Vancouver. But by the way, let's stop for a second here. I know everybody took to Twitter. Oh God, look, it's Steve Cherundolo. We almost lost. You know, how many more games are we going to take with Steve Cherundolo coaching this way? First of all, shut up. The answer is like 4 or 5, maybe, and that's it. So shut up. But second of all, San Diego FC is not trying to play in a low block for 90 minutes against LAFC. San Diego FC will play the transition game, but I'm sorry. They're not going to sit in a low block for 90 minutes like Austin will. They have weapons. They want to get out and run. Vancouver is not going to sit in a low block for 90 minutes. It's really frustrating when some of our supporters have that myopic view of, well, if LAFC plays this way against the next team. It was a really good question, I believe. Who asked the question? It's going to bother me. Anyways, in the press conference, there was a question that was asked, and I'm sorry, now I'm in my head about this right now. Where is it? Andy. It was Andy who asked the question. Thank you, Andy Diosa. By the way, follow his Kick in the Reel podcast. Andy Diosa is incredible. Andy asked the question to Steve Cherundolo, I believe it was, where he asked, look, Austin just seems to give us a rough time. Is this a case of one of those where styles make fights? And it looks like Austin is that opponent for us, where their style makes a difficult fight for LAFC. But that's the truth. They've played us tough for the last 2 seasons, especially this season, winning 1-0, and they were able to stay in that low block the entire time. And they came back and scored and equalized off of that goal in the 63rd minute, off the terrible defending by Nkosi Tafari, by staying in their low block even after we took the lead. But Vancouver and San Diego aren't going to play that way. Philadelphia is certainly not going to play that way. I've watched them play a couple of matches. They look fantastic. You think anything about Inter Miami is going to sit in a low block, you're absolutely kidding yourself. Maybe FC Cincinnati might try to stay in a low block. I'm just looking ahead at all of our possible opponents. Austin FC is the only one that plays this way. And so when we get out of Austin on Sunday with an ugly win, and I'm thinking LAFC could win one of these 1-0 our turn this time, where maybe Sonny gets an early one and it's defend. I think LAFC gets out of there with a win. I think we're done in this best of 3 series 2-0, which would be great. Unlike last year when we had it go 3 matches because we lost in Vancouver. I think LAFC could finish it in 2. But here's my other thought about Austin. Austin's going to make it as ugly as possible again by trying to sit in that low block. That's fine. But what Steve Cherundolo and the boys in black and gold can't let them do is to sit in a low block and hold 53 or 4% of the possession. I think it might have even been more. Might have been like 56. I think it was 56-44 or even more than that. We can't allow Austin to both dictate the pace of the game by staying in a low block, which we did, and for them to possess the ball well over 50% of the time, which they did in our next match. And oh, by the way, full confidence. For all of you Dolo haters out there, you're going to love this. Full confidence in Steve Cherundolo. Full confidence in Steve Cherundolo to be able to figure this out. They're going to get together with Mark Dos Santos and Ante Razov and everybody else on that coaching staff. They're going to get together and figure it out. And we'll be fine when our boys get on that plane to go to Austin. And I'm telling you, at the end of the match, at the end of this round of round 1, it'll be a 2-match series. We'll be feeling all right after we get that win down in Austin. So remember, it's Sunday, November 2nd in Austin, 5:45 p.m. Philly and I will be ready with a one more sleep for you on Saturday, where we'll talk about how they might adjust a little bit, what the changes could be. Who knows? Maybe they roll out the same 11 on both sides and say, let's do it again. We got Ben quoting Wayne's World. The MLS Cup will be ours. Oh, yes, it will be ours. We just got to make sure we get out of Austin healthy and with that victory. So November 2nd, Austin, 5:45. Everybody out there making the trip, be safe, be smart. Otherwise, this has been episode 388. I appreciate each and every one of you for sticking around for over 45 minutes just listening to this guy. Oh, one more thing, just in case you forgot or I forgot to mention it. I told you I'd have to talk to you about how right Philly was. I waited till the end of the podcast to do it. So here we go. My apologies, Philly. Hopefully you'll listen all the way to the end of the podcast. Somebody let Philly know. This is the part where I tell you all how right he was. We were talking about who's going to be the goal scorer when it was 1-1 late in the match, right? And we're sitting there talking with a couple of the guys from LAFC PR. And Nathan Ordaz subs into the match. Philly stopped everything he was doing, looked right at us and said, there's your goal scorer. There's your guy who's going to win it. And I said, but wait, if you're right about that and there's the goal scorer, you'll be right about your score prediction, and I'll have to tell everybody how right you are. Literally, Nathan Ordaz had not yet stepped on the pitch, but as soon as he saw it was Nate about to sub in, he turned to us and said, there's your goal scorer. Well, there was no Scarfstradamus on this day. That was all Philly. In the 74th minute, Philly called that Nate was going to score. At the end of the match, it's 2-1. Philly called the scoreline, and Philly's not here to take credit for it, so I get to stop talking about it. Again, thank you all for joining us here on Defenders of the Bank, episode 388. We'll be back in just a couple of days for one more sleep. We love you all. Bye-bye.